On this day, on July the 7th, 2005, 4 Islamist terrorists exploded suicide bombs on the London transport network, killing 52 and injuring more than 770 others. Ordinary Londoners, simply trying to get to work at rush hour, were obliterated, maimed and scarred forever. It was Britain's worst terrorist atrocity since the Lockerbie bombing in 1988. And may they all rest in peace. World leaders issued a joint statement read by then Prime Minister Tony Blair.
Condemn utterly these barbaric attacks. All of our countries have suffered from the impact of terrorism. Those responsible have no respect for human life.
London mourned. On the streets, police were armed. Sniper units tailed at least 12 known al-Qaeda operatives on British soil with orders of shoot to kill. New laws were rushed through to outlaw the encouragement and instigation of terrorism, with promises to tackle a radical Islam that was poisoning British mosques and British minds. And while 3 of the terrorists were British-born sons of Pakistani immigrants who'd signally praised Osama bin Laden as a beloved hero, Blair flagged the emerging threat of overseas terrorists arriving on our shores. Just 8 days after the attack, Blair promised fresh moves to stop extremists entering the UK and stronger powers to deport them. Yet Blair's words ring hollow in 2023. Right now, we know there are at least 19 suspected terrorists in the UK who've entered illegally via dinghies. They're affiliated with some of the most murderous groups in the entire world, including ISIS. Yet instead of deporting them, we're putting them up in 4-star hotels. And you're paying for that, and lefty lawyers are blocking their deportation. Yet today, the 7/7 anniversary wasn't even mentioned on the BBC or Sky News homepages. The BBC instead chose to point out that 7/7 is actually International Kissing Day, and they illustrated that with a picture of 2 lesbians embracing. All too often, the establishment media looks the other way when stories don't fit their narrative. It's a similar tale every year on the anniversary of the brutal murder of Lee Rigby, again by Islamist terrorists. Perhaps the media's reluctance to mark these painful anniversaries while falling over themselves to mark correctly the murder of Stephen Lawrence is because these suspects, these stories upset their holy worldview, the worldview that the multicultural dream can sometimes turn into a nightmare. That unfettered immigration and the resulting ghettoisation of the UK has, in some cases, caused division and the perfect breeding ground for radicalisation and even grooming gangs. And the risk all of this surely increases when the media, the police and politicians appear to turn a blind eye for fear of being called racist. But by ignoring painful events like 7/7, they not only betray the memories of the dead, the injured and the families and friends who still to this day mourn their loss on this painful anniversary. Their silence gives cover to the enemies who walk in the shadows among us. Their silence increases the likelihood of these tragic events happening on British soil again. Their silence shames us all. So tonight, I am asking you, how safe is Britain? Get in touch, email gbviews@gbnews.com or of course tweet us @gbnews.